This is the excursion that completely ruined all other boat tours for me. I paid $139 for this catamaran tour in St. Maarten, and now no other boat excursion I've done since has even come close to comparing. 7 hours, multiple islands, unlimited drinks, fresh grilled food, and the most beautiful water I have ever seen in my life. This excursion was Boomerang Tours' Best of St. Maarten Catamaran excursion, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this completely ruined my standards for boat tours in the Caribbean. Before this trip, I did a lot of research. I watched YouTube videos, TikToks, read reviews, and compared what felt to be like every single catamaran tour on the island. Needless to say, there were a lot of options, but Boomerang was my #1 choice. I wanted something that would let me see as much of St. Maarten as possible. St. Maarten was one of my dream destinations, and I didn't just want to see one beach. I wanted to experience the island from the water. This excursion was actually what I was most excited for this trip, so I had very high expectations and was hoping that it would deliver. Like I said, the price was about $139 per person when I booked it. Now it looks like it's closer to $149, but honestly, even at the higher price, I would book this again in a heartbeat. The value for what you get is absolutely incredible. This is a full 7-hour excursion. It includes multiple stops around the island, snorkeling gear, paddle boards, swimming, a freshly cooked barbecue lunch on board, and a full premium open bar with handshaking drinks. The boat itself is a fast and stable power catamaran with shaded seating, lounge areas, and even a very clean onboard bathroom. And the crew handles absolutely everything. While in St. Maarten, we were staying overlooking Little Bay Beach in the most beautiful Airbnb. If you're looking for a beautiful place to stay in St. Maarten and the perfect location, make sure to check out my St. Maarten vlogs as well as my full Airbnb tour. But again, we were staying in Phillipsburg and we were overlooking Little Bay Beach, and the excursion actually departed from Simpson Bay at St. Maarten Yacht Club. Getting there wasn't too difficult, but the traffic was heavier than expected, so definitely give yourself more time than you think you need, especially because they ask you to arrive about 30 minutes early. Check-in was easy. They collected our shoes before boarding, which is pretty standard for a catamaran tour, and since we had paid only the deposit online, we paid the remaining balance in US cash when we arrived to avoid the 5% credit card fee. The boat itself was absolutely beautiful. It was extremely clean, modern, and spacious. There were seating in the back, shaded seat near the bar, and one of my favorite parts was the netted lounge area at the very front. In the netted lounge area, you could just sit and relax while moving across the water. There were about 28 people on board, so it felt like a full group, but not overcrowded. A lot of people on the tour already knew each other, so it took a little time to fully settle in socially, but by the end of the day, we had made so many friends. When the boat first took off, it definitely was on more of the intense side. You could really feel the speed, the wind, and the movement, but the captain clearly knew exactly what he was doing. After the first stretch, everything felt incredibly smooth, and I never felt seasick at any point. And honestly, I don't even think I got off at the very first stop. I honestly was just so relaxed, sitting there feeling the wind, watching the water, listening to music, and talking to the crew and other passengers, and just taking everything in. It was peaceful in a way that's hard to explain unless you actually experience it. Throughout the day, we visited multiple locations around St. Maarten and nearby islands, including places like Creole Rock, Tintamarre Island, Pinel Island, and other beautiful snorkeling and swimming spots. Y'all, I'm not even exaggerating when I say this was the most beautiful water I have ever seen in my life. The color was so unreal. It was a kind of turquoise that doesn't even look real on camera. Even now, I look back at my videos and pictures and it just looks so surreal. At some stops, people snorkeled, others swam, floated on noodles, paddled, boarded, or just relaxed on the boat. It was a perfect balance of activity and relaxation. Nothing felt rushed, and we had plenty of time at each destination. One of my favorite moments on this trip was sitting at the very front of the boat while we were speeding to the next destination. We were getting splashed by the ocean, the sun was stunning, and the water was glowing, and I just remember thinking, this is exactly why I traveled. Lunch was served on board, and it was way better than I expected for excursion food. They grilled fresh chicken skewers, served garlic bread and sides. It was hot, fresh, and honestly delicious, and I am still thinking about this food to this day. Throughout the day, the drinks were constantly flowing, and the crew was always checking on everyone, making drinks, helping people, and making sure that everyone was safe and having a great time. The crew really made the experience what it was. They were friendly, professional, entertaining, and incredibly attentive. Also, they threw down on the grill. They gave clear instructions when needed, especially when people were jumping or snorkeling, and you can tell they were experienced and cared about everyone on board and the experience that they had. And somehow, even though this excursion was 7 hours long, it did not feel exhausting at all. It absolutely flew by. When we returned to the dock, I genuinely couldn't believe it was over. This excursion completely exceeded my expectations in every single way. The scenery was unreal, the boat was beautiful, the food was great, the drinks were nonstop, the crew was amazing, and overall the experience was a perfect combination of relaxing, social, social, scenic, and fun. I've done other boat excursions in the Caribbean since then, and nothing has even come close to comparing to this one. If you're in the process of planning a trip to St. Maarten, I cannot recommend this excursion enough. It gives you such a unique perspective of the island that you simply cannot get from just the land. You see more, you experience more, and you create memories that you just won't forget. This is without question one of the best excursions I've ever done in my life, and I would book it again every single time I come back. Boomerang also offers several other tours besides the 3-island adventure that I did. One of their other popular options is their Anguilla day trip, where they take you by boat to Anguilla to visit some of the most beautiful beaches in the Caribbean. They also offer private charters, which are perfect if you're traveling with a group, celebrating something special, or just want a more personalized experience. And if you want to see more of my St. Maarten experience, including the best beaches to visit, make sure to check out my 3 St. Maarten vlogs. I share honest reviews so you know exactly what to expect before you go. This is Travel with Rakaya. Follow me for more.